Shalom and welcome. In this video we will explore Daniel chapter 2 and the meaning of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. The book of Daniel begins in Babylon, and in chapter 2 we have King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. The interpretations of the dream have been very intriguing, yet difficult to pinpoint the nations that are the feet and toes. This is my goal, to show what nations will rule in the last days. Empires will rise and empires will fall by the will of Yahweh, but we can count on Him to keep us safe. Yahweh is our strong tower. He confused the languages at Babylon and stopped the building of the Tower of Babel. And He can stop the wickedness and save His elect. Remember that Yahweh will never leave you nor forsake you. The head of gold represents Babylon. Babylon was rich and had so much gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had a golden image built in chapter 3. This is after the interpretation of his dream by Daniel of the image that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream. So the head of gold represents the nation of Babylon. They were the richest of the kingdoms that the statue represents. In Daniel chapter 6, we have the writing Mene Mene Tekel Upharsin, meaning Yahweh has numbered the days of the kingdom of Babylon. They have been weighed in the balances and have been found wanting. It will now become a kingdom divided between the Medes and the Persians. In Daniel 5:25-28, it states this. So this kingdom is now being turned over by Yahweh to the Medes and the Persians. This kingdom was not as rich as is shown by the silver arms. The Medes are one arm and the Persians are the other. Now let's look at the next empire. The belly and thighs are made of brass. This represents the Grecian Empire. They overcame the Medes and the Persians and became the next empire to rule the region. The Greeks were not as wealthy as the other two before it. Like the silver arms were a nation divided, so also was the nation of Rome. Rome, which is represented by the two legs of iron, was divided. There was Eastern Rome, which became the Eastern Orthodox Church, and Western Rome, which became the Catholic Church. Catholic means universal. They gained much influence over the world, and still the Catholic Church has great influence in religion and politics. This is one to watch out for, as this one is mentioned in Revelation 17 as the mother of harlots. So let's look at the feet of the statue. It is made of part iron and part miry clay. Now this is the part that some people might disagree on, but the facts speak for themselves. We know the iron is the divided Roman Empire, east and west. We also know that Eastern Rome went to Constantinople, where Constantine moved part of his empire to. This is also known as the Golden Horn. Today it is ruled by Islam. Let's take that knowledge and see what the facts are that can lead us to the last empire. There can be two scenarios in this because there is Eastern Rome and Western Rome. Eastern Rome will lead us to the last empire being Islam or the Arab nations. The clay could also represent sand, possibly. The Arab nations live in the desert in the Middle East. The other scenario is the western part of Rome. Western Rome is very advantageous and wants to gain power and control over the nations. They are only doing what is written in Revelation 17. The Catholic Church is riding on the beast. The beast is another entity that needs to be considered. This can get complex. The whore of Babylon is riding on the beast and is directing the world's current events, such as global warming. The Pope that was considered to be ecologically friendly was Pope Benedict XVI. He was the first Pope that was carbon neutral. Pope Francis is also a green Pope because he is for sustainable development. Does that sound familiar? He also wrote Laudato Si, an encyclical about the environment and Earth being our home. He wrote about how we should care for the common home. It's his way of helping to implement the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. However, sustainable development is supposed to be an environmental thing, and we cannot buy into this. It's part of how they will be taking over everything in our lives eventually. So please don't buy into that. Looking at these two entities, we can come to a conclusion that all of this is boiling down into one large pot of environmentalism and the control through it. The job of the Pope is to gain as many followers as possible to be able to lead them to the anti-Messiah. And personally, I'm not sure that he is or isn't the anti-Messiah, but I don't believe that he is. But he is considered by Catholics to be God on earth and also the representative of Christ or the Messiah on earth. So we can't rule that out completely. Both sides of the Roman Empire are important to consider. So from Constantine and the Arab nations to the Catholic popes and their rule over the nations, both before in the Dark Ages and now through the United Nations, this is one big melting pot. In this historic meeting between Pope Francis and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, they are shown shaking hands. Why? This is an unbelievably prophetic fulfillment of prophecy in the book of Daniel and the image in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, the iron and the clay, perhaps. So much has happened since just 10 years ago. It all fits into prophecy. Yahweh doesn't make mistakes. His word is true. On the other hand, we have the Arabs as part Hebrew and part Egyptian, and that is if they are truly from Ishmael's descendants, which I do believe that they are. So could the one they call their Messiah, the Mahdi, be the one to rule the global empire in the very end of days before the true Mashiach returns? Or could it be another? The Jewish nation has two Messiahs, Messiah ben Yosef and Messiah ben David. Ancient Judaism has more, but the most relevant ones are these two, according to Wikipedia.org. And I agree, Israel's prophecy of the Messiah involves two. They say that the first Messiah ben Yosef might come and set things straight before Messiah ben David comes. So this is a really big concern because I've heard it said by a fellow believer that the Messiah has to be Jewish or he will not be accepted by the Jewish people. He must fulfill their idea of prophecy according to the Old Covenant because they don't really or generally read the New Covenant. I am not against the Jewish people, but we need to be aware of this. I am very much for them and want them to come to the truth of the real Messiah, Yeshua, who is their Messiah and ours. So in the end, the most logical one would be the one that is fully Jewish, but could be one that is half Jewish, or the Pope, as mentioned before, because of his influence. Pray about this because it is possibly going to take place in our generation or the generation after us. It's happening quickly now. Yahweh has made provision for our salvation, so no matter who the anti-Messiah is, we need to be on the right side when Yeshua comes. Our lamps need to be trimmed and full of oil so that our lights don't go out and we are ready for Yeshua's coming. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh. Hallelujah. Yahweh will destroy all the evil empires, and his empire will be the only one standing. In 1 Peter, it tells us the earth will melt with fervent heat. His word is true and will stand forever. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Matthew 5:18. So as we go about our daily lives, we must remember Yahweh and that he sent Yeshua, his son, to save us. He will come again and receive us unto himself. And it says in John 14:3, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Hallelujah. So there is hope. We need to stay strong. And may Yahweh bless you all. And let's be among those that keep the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. Hallelujah, because we will win in the end. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Shalom, shalom.